All right, so what I'm going to do, in the last class I ran out of time to do one of the quizzes, so I'm going to start off with that quiz. It's the last quiz. I think we went over this just last week. I'm going to do it one more time, okay? Do it for you guys, and I'm going to do it for the class before. And then I'm going to jump back and do some of the earlier ones. If I don't get finished today, I got 3 quizzes to go over, okay? That's going to be on the test. These 3 quizzes will be on the test. If I don't go over it, go to the second period geometry class, okay, the one right before you guys. It's in red, right? You guys are green. They're in red on the YouTube. Oops, you can't see the screen, can you? That would be helpful. All right, so go to the YouTube page with the other class if we don't hit some stuff, all right? So we did this whole quiz right here, 7.1 and 7.2 in the other class. We just finished the whole quiz, 7.3, 7.4, and I told them that I would start you guys off with this test so we made sure we got through everything, okay? All right, well, I'll tell you what, let me take a look at my test.
Dr. Hammer, the 3 boards are coming back. You can write them down for your next use.
Okay.
I don't know where they were. Thank you.
Who am I missing anybody? Ariel and Josh. Who's the third? Who else is missing? All right, here we go. This number 1 on the quiz, I don't put that on the test. All right, it's not that it's not important because you're going to have to be able to do that on another problem, but I just don't put this exact problem on the test. All right, I do put something like number 2. So here's what I did for the other class. This is like number 12 on the test. So I put number 12, that's number 12 on the test. So I went through 1 through 11 already with them. All right, so there we go. All right, so let's do this. Find the area of a regular polygon. We have a formula for that. We got a lot of formulas you got to learn. Know all your area formulas, but this is a very general one. What is the area? How do I find the area of a regular polygon? A equals what? No. Not on every, that's on a triangle. Okay, that's on a triangle, but a regular polygon, which is this one, and this one, and this one. These are all regular polygons. Yes. Times A. What is the A? The apothem. Times what? The perimeter, which is P. All right. Well, the perimeter is not 13.9. That's only one side of it. What is the perimeter of this? 13.9 what? Times 3. Because it's the distance around that whole thing. Okay? So number 2 is super easy. Okay, if you know the formula and you have a calculator, you should be able to do this no problem at all. Would you agree? That's no exaggeration. Sometimes I exaggerate a little bit and I say things are kind of easy and you're like, oh, it might be easy for you, Mr. Hambrick, but not for me. I get that. Sometimes I'm accused of saying that. But on this one right here, it is pretty easy. So it's 1/2 times the apothem. They give you the apothem right here. What is the apothem? It's 4, right? The apothem goes from the center of that polygon perpendicular to one of the sides, okay? So that's the apothem. Call it A. So we put the 4 right here. Times the perimeter. We already talked about that. What is it? It's 13.9 what? Times 3. And you're just going to take all that stuff, put it into your calculator. Let me get my quiz out. Oops, where did I put them? Here they go. Let me get the right quiz out. And 83.4. Is that what you got? Okay, 83.4. It is area. It's in feet. So what should we write our answer as? Feet squared. Make sure you do that. Everybody good? Yeah, really easy. Okay, it's 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. The only thing semi-difficult about this was knowing that the perimeter was one of the sides, right? 13.9 times 3. Why did we get 3? Did we just pick 3 out of the blue? It's 3 sides. That's right. Okay? Let's do this one. Almost identical, except it's not a triangle, but it's still a regular polygon. What does it mean to be a regular polygon? All the sides are equal and all the angles are equal, okay? We're not really even worried about the angles right now. We will on number 5, but right now I'm just worried about all the sides are equal. So let's put it in here again. 1/2 times the apothem. What's the apothem to this one right here? 29. Times the perimeter. How do I find the perimeter? 24 times 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Times 8. And now what do we do with all those numbers? Put it in a calculator, and I got 2784. Okay. What? Centimeters squared. What do I do with that 1/2? This was a question that came up on a quiz before. 0.5, right? Okay, if you want to put it into a calculator, you could just look at that 1/2 and just put in a 0.5. If you wanted to, you could put 1 divided by 2. That's a half. Okay, what is a calculator going to give you when you put 1 divided by 2? Well, yeah, 0.5. You could say 0 if you want, but you don't really need it. It's 0.5, okay? 0.5. Everybody got that? Okay. What about this one? This one's a little trickier. So we could look at it a couple ways. We could do the 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter thing. But to tell you the truth, that's a little bit more difficult. It's not difficult. It's just like this. But we could do it a little easier. I should say it that way. We could do it a little easier than 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. We went over this just the other day, didn't we? Maybe Thursday, Friday. I can't remember what day it was. Might even be, I don't know if it's recorded or not. No, I don't think we recorded it. So anyway, watch. If this thing is 5, okay, that's from the center, perpendicular to here. What's that red dotted line going to be? That's going to be 5. So that means from this side to this side, how far is that? It's 10. So that means that this is 10, isn't it? Do you agree? Yeah. Now, it's a regular polygon, so that means all the sides are equal. So if this is 10, what is this side right here going to be? That's going to be 10. I don't even have to find the perimeter of this. Since I know it's a square, right? It's a 4-sided regular polygon. A 4-sided regular polygon is a square. How do I find the area of this square? I just go 10 times 10. So it's 10 times 10, which is what? 100. All right, and there it is right there. I'll just put 100. It's in inches, so it's inches squared. You could go 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. It really wouldn't be that much more difficult, but let's do it. Let's just see if we get the same thing. Here's the 1/2. What's the apothem to this? It's 5. Times the perimeter. What's the perimeter? Which is, just do it in your head, 40. Okay, you could go 10 times 4. It's fine. But if I saw that, I would just go 40. Yep. And then you just put this in a calculator. Look at this. 10 times 4 is 40. Half of 40 is 20. 20 times 5 is 100. All right? Just like it was right here. So however you want to do it, it's perfectly fine. Now this one, it's the same type of problem, except they don't give you something that was very important in these problems right here. What was that? I just want to see. Yeah, these are all on the test because I forgot to do that. So this would be what? Number 13. This would be number 14. And this would be number 15 on the test. Those number things are the numbers that correspond to the problem on the test. Okay? What's before that is the stuff that I went over in the other class. You were in the bathroom when we talked about it. That's why you should stay in class and not run off to the bathroom, because you miss stuff. Or go to the bathroom before you come in here. Have I said that about 1,000 times this year? Maybe about 10,000 times. It seems like it. All right, here we go. They don't give you the apothem, so we're going to have to find the apothem. They do give you one of the sides, so we can find the perimeter pretty easy. How many sides does this thing have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So what would the perimeter of this be? It'd be 4 times 6, right? Which is 24. So that's easy. It's the apothem that we have to find. It's this dotted line. That's what we got to find. How in the world do we find that with this situation right here? Well, first of all, we find this angle, because I got to know what kind of a triangle I have here. How do I find that angle right there? It's called a central angle. Well, not by 360. You take 360 and divide it by 6, right. Why 6?
That's 6 sides.
There's 6 sides, which also means that there's 6 angles. There's 6 central angles, okay? So if I take 360, which will go all the way around, and I just wanted to find one of them, I just take 360 divided by 6. If I had $360 and I want to distribute it evenly amongst 6 of you, what would I do? Okay, I would take that 360, divide it by 6 of you, and that gives you 60. So everybody would get $60. But this is not dollars, this is angle. So that angle right there is 60 degrees. Now that's important, but I'm not really going to use that angle directly. I want to find this angle right there. That's right. So if the whole thing is 60, this splits it in half, so this little angle is 30. Why do I care that that's 30? Because I want to see what kind of a triangle I have. If this is 30, what's this angle right here going to be? It's going to be 60. It's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Remember that? Yes? Okay. So what do I want to find? I want to find the apothem. I want to find that dotted line. Well, there's something else I know about this little right triangle. See this little right triangle right here? I'll draw it in red. All right, so from there to there to there. That's the triangle I'm looking for. What's this little part right here at the bottom of that right triangle? It's 2. That's right. How do I know it's 2? Because the whole thing is 4. And this splits it in half. Splits the angle in half, and it splits that side in half. Okay, so that's a 2. So let's redraw this. You may not need to do this, and that's fine. But I think this is helpful. Do you find this helpful at all? Redrawing the triangle? All right, so it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. This is 2, and I want to find that. And it's 30, 60, 90. What do I know about the sides on a 30, 60, 90 triangle? That's right. The long side is equal to the square root of 3 times the what? The short side, or the short leg. Which one's the short leg here? It's 2. Which one's the long leg? It's A. All right? So let's figure it out. What's the long leg? A equals the square root of 3 times the short leg. What's the short leg? Times 2. I don't write it like that. Let's write it a little bit nicer. The 2 would go first, square root of 3. Now, is that my answer? Do I circle it? Do I move on? No, because I got to find the area of this triangle. But what was I missing? That 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. What was I missing? The apothem, right? And I just found the apothem. So now I can find the area, right? It's 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. You see why we had to go through all this? Because they didn't give us the apothem. On the other 3 before this, they gave you the apothem, which made it super easy. When they don't give you the apothem, it makes it a little tougher. All right, so you had to do this whole thing. So let's do it. It's 1/2 the apothem. What's the apothem? Right, 2 times the square root of 3, and then times the perimeter. What's the perimeter? 4 times 6. Can we just do that in our head? 4 times 6 is 24. You know why 6? Because there's 6 sides. Okay? Everybody with me? Let's see. You could write it 2 different ways. Watch this. You could do this whole thing without a calculator at all. I'm going to go 1/2 times all this, or 1/2 times 2. What's 1/2 times 2? It's a 1. So they basically just cancel each other out, don't they? So what am I left with? A square root of 3 and a 24. But what do I put first? The 24 and then square root of 3. If you wanted to keep your answer like that, perfectly fine. Or you could put it into a calculator. If you put it into a calculator, you get 41.6 if you round it to the nearest 10th. Does this say one way? Yep, it does. It says round to the nearest 10th. So really, would I be able to keep it 24 square root of 3? Nope, because I would not be following the instructions, would I? All right, so I got to change it to a decimal. It rounds to 41.6. This is in meters, so this is meters squared, and that's my answer. A little bit more complicated, I completely agree. All right, but it's stuff that we know, okay? We know the relationship on a 30, 60, 90 triangle. We know that the long side is the square root of 3 times the short side. You got to practice that, okay? Just sitting there watching me do it, and you're like, yeah, I think I got it. I think I understand what he just did. But then you leave, what happens? Completely leaves your brain, doesn't it? You ever feel that way sometimes? Yeah, I felt that way all the time when I took math classes. All right, but what combats that? What makes it come back into your brain? Going back and doing it again, doing it yourself. Okay, that's how you're going to remember this. Okay? I keep harping on that all the time. You've got to go back and do these problems yourself instead of just saying, well, I sat through his review. It's on YouTube. Maybe I'll watch it on the way to school, and you sit there and you watch it. But if you don't write anything, if you don't actually try to solve something yourself, if all you do is just watch somebody else do it, you're not going to get good at it. How are you going to learn how to do a certain skill? By doing it. Okay? I use this example all the time. If you're playing sports, you can just sit there and watch basketball all day long. You watch football, you can watch soccer, you can watch whatever sport you play all day long is not going to make you better. Right? You're only going to get better if you actually go out and you do it and you actually play the sport. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Anybody that's done anything, music, singing, you can sit and listen to people sing your whole life. Does that mean you're going to be a good singer? No. You got to practice. You got to practice. Even if you have a good voice naturally, you got to practice to make it better and better. Same thing with this. Okay, you could sit there and you're like, yeah, I think I got it. I think I got it. I think I'm ready for the test. But if you can't go home on your own and do this problem from scratch, you're not ready for the test. You understand me, right? Okay. I hope. All right, good. Well, you're not ready yet. When are you going to be ready? When you actually do these problems at home on your own. All right? Use your notes as an aid, as an help. Look, use my video as a help. But when it comes down to it, it's you, your pencil, and a piece of paper. Okay? That's what you have to do. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing enough. All right. Let's do this. Find the circumference of a circle. More stuff we got to memorize, okay? You got to know the area of a rectangle. You got to know the area of a triangle. You have to know the area of a parallelogram. You have to know the area of a rhombus, the area of a kite. All those things you got to know. That's all on the test, okay? If we don't finish in here, go watch the video from the other class. We go through all that stuff. You'll also have to know the circumference of a circle. You got to know that formula. Here it is. I'll give it to you. I'm not giving it to you on the test. You have to know this when you sit down and take the test tomorrow. What is the circumference of a circle? C equals 2 pi r. This is something that you need to memorize. All right? That's just the reality of geometry. There's a lot of stuff to memorize, and this is one of them. And it's not that difficult if you have this memorized. Basically, this problem is not really testing how to do the problem. It's to see if you remember what the formula is, basically. All right, so let's do it. Find the circumference. Circumference is 2 times pi. Now it says round to the nearest tenth, so they don't want you to leave the answer with a pi in it, okay? They want a decimal answer, and they want you to round it to the nearest tenth. So what am I going to put in here? 3.14. That's the number that we are going to use. Don't use the big, long number they have on the calculator. Just use 3.14. That way, we'll all get the same answer, okay? Times the what? The radius. What is the radius of number 6? It's 6. That's all there is to it. It's just plugging in a 6 to the formula. But you got to know the formula. Okay, put this into your calculator, and you get around 37.7 if you round it. It's in inches. Do we square it? No, because it's the circumference. The circumference is just a distance. We're not finding the area on number 6. We're just finding the circumference. So you just keep it inches. Everybody see that? Circumference equals that. Super easy. Everybody should be able to get that problem right. We good? Let's keep going. Find the area of a circle this time. So area is a different formula. What's the area of a circle? A whole entire circle. What's the area of it? I'm talking about this a lot. I know you've had a weekend, but you got to know it. Pi r squared. Very good. You got to know it. It's pi r squared. If you struggle with it, you haven't studied it enough. Okay? Josiah, I don't want to, this is not to make you look bad or anything, but you said the other day I know this stuff in class, but then when I get to the test, I forget it all, okay? It's because I think, and I was like this. I was the same way. I remember, man, I thought I had it down, and then I show up for the test, and I was like, what is this, You gotta practice, and you gotta go over these formulas over. Keep a little sheet with all the formulas, right? So circumference equals area of a parallelogram, area of a this, area of a that, whatever, right? Cover up what all the formulas are, and just look at it, say area of a parallelogram. What is that? Oh, area is, what is it? Area of a parallelogram. Base times height. Yeah, you should know that, just like that, okay? So look through your list, see all the answers, right? See what the area is equal to, then cover them up and do a little self-test. That's what you guys need to do. And I don't think many people are doing that kind of stuff. I really don't. I'm not going to ask you, but I think you would agree, wouldn't you? That many of you are not doing what I'm suggesting that you do? You should. All right, here we go. Let's plug it in. It's almost as easy as number 6. So area is pi r squared. So what is pi? 3.14 times the radius. What's the radius on this problem? Oh, fid. Fid the area. I never saw that. Did you notice that? Should be find. Oh my, I gotta fix that. Yep, says it on my paper quiz too. All right, that's embarrassing. Nobody ever saw that? Too focused on the math? Okay. So it's 3.14 times what? 5 what? Squared. What is 5 squared? It's 25. So you're going to go 3.14 times 25. You're going to put that in the calculator. And then you're going to round it to 1 decimal place, the nearest tenth. And so that is 78.5. Now this one is area. It is area, so what do we do with that feet? Feet squared, okay? Again, this was 37.7 inches, and that's 78.5 feet squared. Make sense? All right. Now, this is what everybody's been waiting for, right? This problem right here. We've done this several times, but we're going to do it again because this is probably the hardest thing. Just going to get rid of all that writing. This is probably the hardest thing on the test and on this quiz. I just want to double check. Yeah, everything that I've been doing today. So it looks like every single one of these problems on the quiz is going to be on the test. Let me just, again, double check. Let me find that second page. Except for number 1 on the quiz, okay, remember that? But you still had to find that in number 5. Yep. Everything except number 1 is on the test from this quiz. So this is an important quiz to know how to do. Let's do it. Find the area of the sector. What is the sector? Tell you what, let's enlarge this just a little bit. Makes it a little bit easier to see. Let me change my pen. Make it a little smaller. Okay. You all right over there? Yeah. Okay. So what are we trying to do? Find the area of the sector PQR. What does that mean? That means this. Whoops. It's not just the triangle. It's all of this. And it's, got a little squiggly there. You get the idea, okay? It's all of this. That's what we're trying to find. That's what the sector is. It's actually very easy. If you know the area of a circle, which we just went over, pi r squared, you got it. 84 divided by 360 pi r squared. What's the radius in this problem right here? There's 2 numbers that look like they possibly could be the radius.
3.
Which one's the actual radius? 3 is. Why? Because it goes from the center to a point on the circle. Does 4 go from the center? No. So 4 is not the radius. Several people wrote 4 as the radius when they did this quiz. All right? So instead of radius, what are we going to put in there? A 3. So it's 3 squared. What's 3 squared? It's 9. Pi is 3.14. So here's what you're putting in the calculator. You're going 84 divided by, so here's how you use the calculator. Do you have a calculator out? You should have it with you. All right? You need to practice this. All right? Say this all the time and people just sit there and stare at me. Huh? What? I don't know why. Maybe you just don't have a calculator on you. If you have a calculator in your book bag, you should get it out right now and punch these numbers in and see what you get. You should put 84. How do I put that into a calculator? 84 over 360. What's the over? Is divide. So I put 84 divided by 360. Hit equals, boom, you come up with a number. Then you multiply it by 3.14. Okay? Then you multiply it by 3 squared. We can do that in our head. What's 3 squared? That's 9. So this is the stuff you're putting into a calculator. You've got to practice it. It's not that easy sometimes to put stuff into a calculator. You know, people think it is. People think, oh, wow, I got a calculator. I can get all the problems right since I can use a calculator. You got to know what to put in and how to put it in. All right? So you put all that in your calculator, and you should get 6.6. This is in centimeters, and it is area, so it's centimeters squared. So you found everything that's shaded in. Everybody see that? It's like that piece of a pie. Like you took a piece of pizza, okay, and you sliced it. This would be a slice of pie, wouldn't it? Big old slice, but almost a quarter of it. Big old piece of pizza. That's what you're finding the area of. You're finding the area of the curved part and these straight parts, everything in between those things. Everybody good? That's easy, isn't it? 84 divided by 360 pi r squared. That's what you need to know for that. All right? Practice it yourself at home. Now, this is the hardest part we're going to do right now. 3 squared. Yeah, I said we can just do that in our head. 3 squared is 9. Well, the radius is 9. The radius is 3. That's a 3. 3 squared. Okay? That's a 4 because that's pi, 3.14. All right, everybody good? Now what are we trying to find? Find the area of what PQR though? That was PQR, the triangle, right? So just the triangle. So look, this is what I'm trying to find the area of right now. Just that triangle. Everybody see it? How do I find the area of a triangle? What's the formula? It's base times what? Height divided by 2. What do we know right now without doing any work on this triangle? I know the base. What's the base? It's 4. So this is the base of the triangle. So that's what I'm going to put right there. What don't I know? The height. So let's put the height in there. It goes from here perpendicular to right there. Everybody got that? So that blue, can you see that blue all right? Yeah, it's a little light. Is that all right? Okay. So that is the height of that triangle. That's what we have to find. We got to find that height. I know the base. I just got to find the height. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. But it's something that we just finished doing just a couple problems ago. All right? So what is this? Yeah, let's do this. So we've got a triangle here, here. What is it from here to here? That's 2, just like we did before. Remember, the whole thing was 4, that's 2. Now, look what we have. Do you mind if I redraw the triangle without all the junk around it? So what do I know on this triangle? Well, I know this, the hypotenuse, is 3. What else do I know on this triangle? I know the bottom of it, right, which is 2. What am I trying to find? This right here. It's not hypotenuse, it's h for what? It's h for height. Now, what do? I wrote this word down for some other problems that we did earlier today. Pythagorean theorem. Good. We're going to do Pythagorean theorem. So the 84 degrees, I don't even care about when I'm finding the area of the triangle. I used it to find the sector, but I don't care about that 84 to do the triangle. Okay? So let's find the height. How do I do that? Well, h squared plus what? 2 squared equals the hypotenuse, which is 3 squared.
Thank you.
Okay, so h squared plus 2 squared is 4 equals 3 squared is 9. Do this in your head. Minus 4 gives you what? 5. Okay? I didn't have to show minus 4, did I? At this point, you should just be able to see that in your head. Now, how do I find h? I got h squared. We did this earlier today. Square root. I think we did. I don't know if it was the last class or you guys. So h is the square root of 5. So let's go back to this, and we're ready to find the area of that triangle. So what is the base of this whole triangle? Not the little triangle, but the whole triangle. It's 4 times the height. I just did it. Square root of 5 over 2. All right? Watch. To make it a little easier for you, 2 goes into 4
When the bell rings,
twice.
the following teachers would please come to the office. Mrs. Larson, Ms. Pace, Ms. Tom. So when the bell rings, if Mrs. Larson, Ms. Pace, and Ms. Tom come to the office. Thank you so much.
All right, so it's 2 squared of 5, but I don't want to write it like that. It doesn't, well, it says it right here. Round all the answers to what? The nearest tenth. So I'm not going to leave it 2 squared of 5. I'm going to put that into a calculator. All right, so put in square root of 5, and then you'll get some big number, some decimal number, okay? And then you're going to put times 2, and then you're going to round it to the nearest tenth, or the first decimal place. And that'll round to 4.5. Again, it's area, so it's centimeters squared. So again, that wasn't that hard. I mean, this part right there might have thrown you for a loop. All right, but now that you see it, now that you know what you're supposed to do, it shouldn't be that bad. See what we're doing? Okay. Trying to take it slow, take it easy for you. Now, exactly right. Because why do we subtract? Let's do this in a different color. Let's put it in green. So what we're trying to do now is says find the area of segment PR. What does that mean, segment PR? It means this part right here. See that shaded in green right there? That's what we're trying to find on the last problem. Well, look, we've done the hard work already. We found the whole entire sector, that whole piece of pizza. We found that whole entire piece, which is 6.6. Then we found the triangle, right, which is a big part of that pizza, isn't it? All right, so we found that. How do I find what's left over? I just subtract them. So I go 6.6 minus 4.5. That gives me 2.1. And it's area again, so it's still centimeters squared. And that's how you do it. So the third one was easy. You just subtract those two. But you got to get these two right in order to get this one right. Agree with that? Because if you don't get these right and you subtract them, even though you subtract them, that's going to be wrong. So make sure you get them both right, both of these right. Then the third one, super easy after you get those two right. All right. Well, we only went over one quiz in here. You must watch the video from the other class, okay? Because you've put the two videos together, you got the whole entire test. All right, so this went up to 20 on the test. So where did we leave off writing down the problems? That was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You get the idea, okay? What do you think? We should be good for this, right? But are we we're gonna end it right here and just wait till tomorrow before you think about this again? No. You got to not just watch the videos, but do the problems. Okay? Do the problems. I would try it first, right? Before I actually do the problem on the video, watch. Here's how I would do this. Before I wrote all this stuff out, it's going to be all blank. Whoops. Let me grab it from here. Okay? All this stuff is going to be blank. Agreed? So this is what you should do. You should look at this before I even start giving you the answer, and you do the problem. You do it yourself, all right? And then you can go a little forward in the video and see if you got it right. Yes? Then do this one. And then go forward and see if you got it right. And so on and so on. All right? That's how you're going to succeed in here. Why are you looking around? You know you're not supposed to eat in here. There's no eating in here. All right. Please be, I want to see good grades on this. I really do. I think I want it more than you guys. Why is that? I don't understand. I don't understand why. I mean, it doesn't affect me, right? It doesn't affect if I'm being hired again next year. But I do. I want this for you guys because I've spent a lot of time and effort trying to teach this to you, right? And I want to see some progress. I want to see that this is not in vain, all right? I want to see you succeed, but you have to do what you got to do. So do it. Well, don't. Is that right? Okay, well. All right, enough of that. Please be ready for it tomorrow. Watch the other classes' video, all right? And then hopefully they'll watch this one. We'll see if they do.